Upon whose shoulders do we stand? That is the question we sought to answer. Fourth wave feminism is currently underway, and yet most young people do not fully understand the feminisms that have come before. We felt that a more thorough understanding of the issues and communities that comprise the feminist movement would help fourth wave feminists learn from past successes and missteps. Because strength and inspiration can be found when we reflect on and respect those upon whose shoulders we stand, we sought to better comprehend the crux of the second and third waves and their particular strengths and weaknesses. After a review of existing materials to better understand previous waves of feminism, we conducted oral histories with second and third wave feminists. From the data, we sought to discover patterns and gain insight that might aid fourth wave feminism in more effective pursuit of social change. The project is ongoing, and more coding of data will continue to take place. Following World War II, the 1950s brought an intense time of domesticity where white middle-class women had few options to work outside of the home. In 1963, Betty Friedan published The Feminine Mystique, giving voice to these dissatisfied housewives and exposing the problem that has no name. Consciousness-raising groups followed where women suddenly had a forum to voice their discontents and gain a political consciousness. Women faced many obstacles to equality at this time. Workplace discrimination was rampant. They couldn't get mortgages or credit cards in their own names without permission from their husbands. Abortion was illegal, although many women obtained dangerous, illegal abortions through underground support networks. When the Equal Rights Amendment passed the House and Senate in 1971 and 72, feminists generated a huge national push to get it ratified. However, there was an equally fervent movement to prevent its ratification. Although second-wave feminists celebrated many political wins, the ERA was not ratified in enough states by its 1979 deadline. While mostly white feminists staged demonstrations and protests that put feminism into the national consciousness, some groups were being actively discriminated against within the second-wave movement. Black feminists were often relegated to inferior roles if they were allowed to contribute at all, and lesbian feminists were labeled the Lavender Menace by Betty Friedan out of fear that their inclusion would spell a certain end for the movement. Sadly, these exclusionary practices took some of the wind out of feminism, and many white feminists later changed their tune.
The third wave focuses on feminism and what it means for individuals. This is choosing your own self and identity without being expected or pressured to be something that someone else wants you to be. For example, a woman can choose to be a wife, have a career. A woman can choose to be a stay-at-home mother. Also, women have autonomy over their sexuality, and they are a space to explore sexualities other than heterosexuality. Women fight for and demand rights to their own bodies to do as they wish. A woman's right to choose is important. They have the right to abortion. Women should not be pressured in any way to make a decision. Intersectionality, a sociological theory first identified by Kimberly Crenshaw that explains how someone may encounter several types of discrimination based on their race, gender, age, ethnicity, disabilities, or any other characteristic that would label them a minority class. Media and pop culture. This amplified the movement to spread confidence and strength for women. To show their feeling and emotion, sources come from music, TV, shows, movies, books, plays. For example, the band Riot Grrrl was very confident in voicing. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The book Manifesto. 1992 was an important year, and also known as the Year of the Woman, as 24 women won seats on the House of Representatives. This was a confidence booster, as well as a push toward equality. In the spring of 2021, our Sociology of Gender class conducted qualitative interviews with second and third wave feminists using a convenience sample. Our steps for choosing our interviewees were simply asking acquaintances of ours. Our questions were constructed to elicit oral histories about these feminists' experience in the movement. For the process of choosing the proper questions, we used the Padlet applications. Students contributed 3 questions each, and we as a class discussed patterns and narrowed the questions down to the best 12. These interviews were conducted on a virtual platform of Google Meet with tactic, extension, and proper consent was received.
Our interview protocol consisted of asking each subject these 12 questions. Pause the video here if you'd like to read them. Our interview subjects found the following aspects of their lives closely tied to their feminist identities: being a business owner, having close personal relationships with other feminists, sexual identity, choice of a partner or spouse, parenting decisions, career in public service, political and social awareness, anti-racism work, academic pursuits, attending protests and demonstrations, and family relationships. Participants noted that these are the changes they have witnessed in the feminist movement. Feminism has become more mainstream. The focus has shifted away from second-wave concerns like equality under the law. Racism has begun to be acknowledged. Community has diminished. Message has been watered down. More inclusive of minoritized identities. Current focus on the Me Too movement. Some young people resist association with feminism. And more female representation in pop culture. Interview subjects indicated that these are their hopes for the future of the feminist movement: long-term plans to strategically reach future goals, government interventions to improve socioeconomic, racial, and gender equality, a greater sense of community and solidarity, increased urgency for anti-racism work with intersectionality at the forefront, more women elected to public office, focus on immigration, wealth inequality, healthcare, and an end to the motherhood penalty, a return to the practice of consciousness-raising groups, more acceptance of non-binary and transgender identities, and the prioritization of quality education. Based on our data, these are the implications for fourth-wave feminists. To create a long-term vision, in addition to mutual aid work that focuses on the present needs of minoritized communities, to include minoritized identities and magnify a range of voices and perspectives, to elect women to public office, to integrate feminist identity into many aspects of personal identity, to strengthen solidarity and sense of community among feminists, and to encourage men's involvement in the feminist movement.
We did have some limitations while conducting this. Due to our class being small this semester, our ability to interview many people was constricted. Although we interviewed white women, this sample size is not representative of all women and all feminists. Also, due to current COVID regulations and virtual settings, compiling a full and diverse sample was proving to be difficult.
At this point in the process, here are our takeaways. With a small class size and a limited turnaround time following interviews, more data needs to be collected should the project expand into future semesters. Additionally, Google Meet and the Tactic extension worked well enough for acquiring free transcripts of interviews, but transcripts each required several hours of revisions to be readable. Furthermore, understanding the history of the feminist movement can lead to a greater appreciation of the rights and privileges fought for by previous generations. And finally, representation of more diverse subjects would enhance understanding of implications for fourth-wave feminists. We stand on the shoulders of generations of committed feminists who fought for gender equality. Cross-generational relationships enrich our connection to and appreciation for previous generations and their tireless work. Fourth wave feminists should consider the strengths and weaknesses of previous waves within the feminist movement and seek to learn from and build upon the foundation that has been laid. Older feminists have rich stories to tell that should continue to be recorded and analyzed. This project should continue on in future semesters.